So, a lot of my videos so far all of them have been about the college application process and some advice for applying to colleges. But since this is my CAS project for the IB International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, I've interviewed only IB students at my school. This video is going to be some advice that I and the other students have about being a senior in the IB program because as a senior, there's a lot of things you have to handle. And it so really can be a stressful year between, especially in the fall, with a lot of people have sports or music, band, orchestra, or theater, other activities, and then you have college applications, and usually people take some pretty hard classes IB senior year in the IB program. So there's just a lot of things to juggle, and you really want to just make that fall of your senior year is one of the most important times in high school. So we just want to give some advice on it. For me, the hardest part of being in the IB program was the time management between all the IAs and the EE, and with COVID, the whole timeline got messed up. So I ended up doing most of the work for my extended essay in the fall, along with all of my IAs that I think I started around November, and I finished the last one, Ivy Chem, in March, which is very late, but with COVID, everything got thrown out of whack, and with college applications, it was really stressful for me at least to get it all done. So that was hard for me, but time management is key, and it's going to be key in college. You always hear this, that time management is important, but it really is. You need to be working on your IAs and EEs as the school year goes along. You don't want to leave it all for last minute, like I'm ashamed to admit I did for a few. But you really want to be working on those when your teachers say to start and just getting ideas because you don't want to leave it till the end. It's not going to be fun. My favorite part about being in the IB program is how close the whole program is and how the close relationships you get with your teachers. Since you have them for 2 years, you really know each other really well by the end of senior year. So where I'm at, I feel comfortable with all of my teachers. I know all my classmates a little bit too well in some cases, but it feels like a really close-knit family. And throughout the IB program, since it is a hard and complicated with a lot of requirements, you have a lot of support from the teachers and your friends. And just time management when being in the IB program with college applications can be tricky, but if you make yourself schedules like I do and lists of your assignments, you can really get it done and it'll be no problem. And you'll get into schools, so you can do it. You just need to manage your time and not procrastinate it much. So now we're going to watch some of what the other seniors have to say about it.
Okay, so what do you think the hardest part of being in the IB program is?
Time management. It's a large workload and you may just want to go home and go to bed, which is what I basically do now. But you have to do your work and don't turn it in late because that's not going to make you a good college student or just a good student in general.
Okay. What is your favorite part of the IB program?
Probably just like how tight everyone is. Like we're all like in the same classes together. It's like sixth grade when you used to like stay with your one home room and you got your group of friends, but also like you can like form connections with your teachers because like they understand what you're going through because they know that you're in IB. So that's great.
How did you manage your time for college applications while being in the IB program as a senior?
It really wasn't that difficult. I also don't do like a fall sport, and with COVID it was a lot more easier because like I wasn't doing any like really clubs, so I had more time on my hands. But I don't think like being an IB senior had like really any effect on my college applications.
And then is there any advice you would give to seniors people entering their senior year in the IB program?
Don't procrastinate. Get the work done. Form bonds with your teachers. Don't make them pissed off at you because good luck in that class.
What do you think was the hardest part of being in the IB program?
I'd say the hardest part would probably be just getting all the work done. The homework can be kind of extensive at times, especially with the heavy writing in history and English, but if you're on top of things and you're able to set aside time to get your work done, then it's easy.
And what was your favorite part about being in the IB program for the last 2 years?
My favorite part would probably be the like close-knit relationship that you get with both your teachers and the other students in the class. I feel like it's like a little community.
And so, did you find it difficult to manage your time in the fall with IB and college applications, and how did you do that?
So I didn't find it too difficult because I didn't do a sport, but I definitely heard from other people who were doing sports, college applications, and IB program homework. It was pretty overwhelming. I think the most important thing is having a schedule and sticking to it.
Okay, and is there any advice you would just give to rising seniors coming into their senior year of the IB program?
Try to get involved in as much as possible, and definitely don't wait to do your CAS project and your CAS experiences. Get them done as soon as possible and get the paperwork turned in.
What was the hardest part of being in IB?
Probably just like the workload. It's a lot of work.
Do you have any advice for dealing with the workload?
You really can't procrastinate, especially like when you get to senior year and you have to write like all the IAs and stuff. You can't procrastinate.
Okay, and what was your favorite part about being an IB student?
I think that it made me form connections with students that I probably wouldn't have been able to form before. It like kind of forces you to be with the same people all the time, and so you have to talk to these people unless you want to be like silent the entire school year. So you get to know people that you wouldn't have, and it's like a little community.
Did you find it hard to manage college applications while also being in the IB program in the fall?
No, but COVID. I think I would have. If we didn't have like the Wednesdays off and like those things, then it would have been very stressful because I was pretty stressed and I had a lot of time on my hands. So for my experience, it wasn't like I was crying every night, but I also had a lot of time because of COVID and that we were like home in the fall.
Yeah, and is there any advice you would give to seniors starting their second year of the IB program?
Good luck. I don't know.
You don't have to answer it if you don't.
Just do your best. You know, grades are not everything.
Okay, and so what did you think was the hardest part of being in the IB program?
The hardest part of being in the IB program, it has to be time management. I think things can get away from you really easily. I had a really difficult time. I'm a huge procrastinator, and that kind of kicks my butt sometimes, most of the time. I think the goal is like to try and like beat that out of yourself and like know what your habits are and know how you want to try and fix them and what's going to make your life the easiest, and think about future you. Think about what future you would like, because if you do it now, then future you is going to be so much happier. Do it for future you.
And finally, what was your favorite part of being in the IB program?
Oh yikes. Well, my favorite part's the people. I really liked getting to have class with all my friends. I liked the close like teacher-student relationships. I found those very helpful, and I really liked the kind of interdisciplinary approach to IB and how all the classes kind of interconnected, but you were still able to take a bunch of classes and kind of figure out what your specific interests are. I think it was really helpful when applying to college. I was able to figure out like what I'm good at, what I want to do, and kind of just get a head start on that. So I feel pretty confident. I mean, check back in with me in a year, but I feel pretty confident with like my course of study, and I think IB really helped with that.
And what was the hardest part of being in the IB program for you?
Just managing like the outside social life and all the workload that we usually get.
What was your favorite part about being in IB?
It's probably the friend group I made.
And then, did you struggle to manage your time for college applications while being in the IB program at all?
I mean, I didn't like completely struggle. I had to like really make a strict timeline, like a time frame for every single day.
Yeah.
But there was no struggle.
And then, is there any advice you would give to seniors who are entering their second year in the IB program?
I would just say to keep the hustle. Like, it's your senior year, it's your last year of high school, but you still want to keep the hustle and finish the program strong.
What would you say is the hardest part of being in the IB program?
for me at least, it was all of the extra things that you had to do on top of the classes. In my opinion, the classes, the majority of the time, not always, were not too bad, but it's when you added them together with the extra IAs and the extended essay that things got very stressful. And it may have just been this year when everything was somewhat squished together, but I know the IAs were a very hard time for me because also I moved some of those to last minute. And just having to do those on top of balancing the normal load of schoolwork was difficult.
And what would you say is your favorite part of the IB program?
I think because it is a 2-year program, you do get the same teachers 2 years in a row, so you get to really know them, which helps a lot with having questions. It makes it so much easier to approach your teachers than in the past. You definitely form a close relationship with a lot of them. And then also you form close relationships with a lot of the students around you as well because you spend all of your time with them.
And just then, is there any advice you would give to seniors as they start the second year of the IB program?
Work on your IAs ahead of time, like as your teachers kind of want you to. Keep on top of your work because if you leave those things to the last minute, they're a lot harder to manage than you may think they are.
Part of being in the IB program.
The hardest part about being in the IB program probably was all of the stuff that I had to do outside of the actual classes, because the classes themselves were challenging, but they weren't like impossible. But the stuff like the extended essay and all of the different IAs was really a time crunch for me.
And then what was your favorite part about being in IB?
My favorite part is probably that the classes were 2 years, so when you come in your senior year, you don't have to do icebreakers and meet the teacher and meet all of the new kids in your class.
Icebreakers so much.
Thanks, Katie. So it was just, and it also allowed me to like build a stronger bond with everybody in my class because I didn't have to meet new people and I already knew everybody.
And then, do you have any advice you would give to seniors as they start their second year of the IB program?
I would say study for your exams kind of early. Don't crunch it all in at the last second, because then you end up being a lot more stressed than you need to be.
Okay.
What was the hardest part of being in the IB program for you?
The hardest part for me was probably the amount of work and the rigor. There was definitely a lot of assignments during the whole time, and finding the time to get everything done and do it at the standard that I wanted everything done was definitely hard.
Yeah. And now, what was your favorite part about IB?
My favorite part of IB was definitely the relationships that I built with the teachers and my peers. They say it's a family, and it for sure is, because you see, these people every day and you're working with them and you're studying with them and you're having fun with them. And you just feel like you have a large support group around you the whole time. And that was definitely something that got me through for sure.
Do you have any tips for time management while being in the IB program for juniors or seniors?
My biggest tip would be to have a planner or keep to-do lists and write out, when certain assessments are due, when you have specific projects that are due, and do not wait last minute to do those big assignments like those essays, and give yourself more time to do assignments that are going to take longer to complete. But also, if a teacher gives you a month or 2 weeks in advance to complete an assignment, that's because they want you to be utilizing that time. So trust your teachers and use that extra time. Do not wait last minute.
And now for the last question, what advice would you give to seniors who are about to start their second year of the IB program?
I would say to stay calm, especially when writing those IAs, and bounce many ideas off of your peers for the IAs, because the IAs is one of the biggest parts of the senior year for IB students. So having many ideas for your IAs will help get you excited and creative for what you want to write, especially because if you have strong IAs, You're going to feel better when going into those IB exams because the IAs are something that you can control, which could help you get the diploma.
So, what is the hardest part of being in the IB program for you?
Probably like the assignments themselves aren't hard. I think it's time managing all the assignments because they're going to give you it all at once. So you have to know how to really manage your time and bracket it out.
Mm-hmm. And what was your favorite part about being an IB student?
I like the community and how each teacher was more dedicated to like you as like, in their IB class compared to like all their other classes. Like it felt like we got this sort of special attention.
Mm-hmm. Did you find it difficult to manage your time for college applications while being in the IB program?
A little bit, but I did what I had to. I still made it work.
And just, do you have any advice you would give to seniors as they start their second year in the IB program?
I guess just keep going. Don't try to like let up at all. Like, this is your most important year, so just make the most of it.
So in this video, you've heard a lot of different advice about IB and a bunch of different just experiences. Every person feels differently about the IB program, and it's not made for everyone. Not everyone is going to be successful just because there is so many requirements and things, but I felt it worked well for me, and most of my other classmates enjoyed it and thought it worked. So that was definitely good. It is a struggle sometimes with the work, but as long as you don't leave your CAS project until June of your senior year, you will be fine. Just keep working and just keep pushing through, and it's all going to work out in the end. So I hope you will use some of the advice we've mentioned.